Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining me for what is now my third meal kit and cooking demo. This evening we're going to be cooking a prawn linguine. I've got all the ingredients here, and we'll talk you through them in a second. And our good friend Linton at Great Western Wines is going to take us through this lovely bottle of Chablis he's recommended for this dish. So let's get cracking. So, in your meal kit, you're going to get some prawns. Now, I've defrosted these prawns in a colander over the sink. It took a couple of hours, or if you want to do it overnight, you can do it in the fridge. Whatever you do, don't just run them underwater, because the water's going to go into the prawn and make them a little bit pappy. We don't want that. You're also going to get some cherry tomatoes on the vine. I've used about half of the tomatoes from the vine here, and I've cut them in half. You're going to get a lemon, I've cut them in half. Again, I'll show you why we need that in half later on. You've got some parsley here. We've got two shallots, which you need to dice, some garlic cloves, some capers. We've got some pasta, some linguine pasta, some olive oil, some sea salt, some pepper. Linton's recommended a beautiful bottle of Chablis to go with this. And in the front here, we've got a chili pepper. Now, I've diced half of this because I want to show you a neat little trick that you can do with the chili pepper. For those of you who don't like things really spicy, the wife and I kind of like a medium spice, so I've diced half of it up here, but I'll show you about that later on.
Matt, the chili prawn linguine, what a fabulous dish for lockdown date night. Guys, I always get the question from people say, should I just use cheap plonk in my dishes, or should I use something a little better? Certain dishes, I would say cheap plonk is fine, but this is certainly a dish, I would say, find a wine that really enhances and brings out the sweetness in those lovely prawns. So if you use something like the Ken Forrester Old Vine Reserve Chenin Blanc, Ken uses a portion of overripe Chenin, which gives you these lovely honeysuckle characters. And this really, once you get this into the sauce and it comes together, the longer you cook it, the more enhanced those flavors become in the dish. It really brings out and lifts those prawns and just makes them taste better. So some dishes, I would say, it just makes a difference to find the right wine to put into that dish. But once we have the dish, we want a wine that is perfectly going to be matched with that dish. I've gone for the Joseph Drouhin Chablis. This is a family that have been making incredible wines, mostly from southern Burgundy. So Montrachet, Baton Montrachet, Beaune wines. And they make some of the best white wines in the world. But in the 1960s, when everybody was running away from Chablis, they went in and they bought 6 hectares in Chablis. And Chablis is a beautiful wine, especially matching it with fish. And the reason for that is it's got this lovely, crisp, fresh acidity that runs through the wine, and you have a lot more citrus, especially in Chablis. As soon as you go up to sort of Grand Cru, the wines become a little more richer and a little bit more layered. But Chablis has its own issues, and the biggest problem with Chablis is the elements. So, you know, every year the guys in Chablis are constantly fighting against the rain, the hail, you know, and you've got frost as well. And certainly over the last 4 or 5 years, there have been a couple of vintages that have been completely demolished by frosts and hailstorms. But when they do get it right, what you get is the soils in Chablis are fantastic. They are limestone and clay, and they are enriched with fossils. So you get the most incredible minerality in Chablis. And this really helps when we come to matching it with fish dishes. What I love about this Drouhin is you've got this lovely citrus that just jumps out of the glass. You've got that sort of lemons and limes. You know this wine is going to be refreshing as soon as you smell it. Wow, on the palate, you've got all those kind of citrus flavors running through your mouth, but you've also got that minerality, you've got that acidity, that's really cleaning my mouth. So every time you go back for another bite of that gorgeous prawn linguine, you're going to taste it like it should do. And I mean, this is a great one just on its own as well. It really is refreshing and totally delicious. So guys, I've chosen the Joseph Drouin Chablis, which will come with your prawn linguine. So enjoy.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to need to do is get our pasta underway. And I'm going to show you probably one of the best tools I think I've ever bought from Telemotion. This is a pasta measurer, spaghetti measurer. Wow, I always cook far too much pasta. What I need now is a rice cup. So boiling water, splash of salt. And what we do here is this measures the amount of pasta for 2 people. Pasta straight into the boiling water. Let that spread out and eventually we'll turn it and it'll eventually go in. We'll pop the lid back on. Now, next job is to light our pan for the sauce. There we go. Just gonna get this pan going as well. This is an iron pan, it takes a little bit of time to get going. So, little splash of olive oil. And we want to put in there our shallots. Looks like you've got a lot of shallots here, but they're going to form the base of our sauce. We don't want to brown them though. And then you can see here that the pasta has already started to shrink, so we'll just give that a little twist round, put the lid back on, do a slight gap because I don't want it to overboil. Shallots are starting to sweat down now, touch of pepper, slight sprinkle of salt. Now whilst that's heating up, I'm just going to season my prawns. A little bit of salt and a little bit of the pepper. So a little mix up there. Just get them seasoned a little bit, ready for when we give them a cook in our second pan. Pasta's boiling away nicely. Splash of oil. And there, get that going. Not too hot though. The next item, whilst these shallots are sweating down, I'm just going to pop in our tomatoes. And we want them to really kind of split and go really soft. And whilst we've got that going, we're going to deal with our garlic. I'm using a crusher. I want the garlic to kind of disintegrate. I'm giving that a good squeeze. I've got 3 cloves in here. Again, it's totally up to you how garlicky you like it. My wife and I love garlic. Let's get that in there. That's going nicely. Brilliant. Now, I mentioned earlier about the chilli. Now, here's a little trick. If you like it a little bit warm, but you're a bit wary of the chilli itself, you can just pop the whole chilli in. And I leave the stalk on. You can pop it in. You can mix it around. You can heat it up. You can taste it. And you can take it out. If you have the diced chilies, pretty fiddly taking them out. So it's a nice little tip there. My wife and I, we like it spicy, so we're going straight in. We're going to sweat those down with our shallots and our tomatoes. Be very careful, we're not trying to brown anything here. Now, our capers. I'm deliberately doing these bit by bit. So I'm just going to put about a tablespoon of capers here. I'm not going to cut them up because they're going to soften anyway. So about 2.5 kind of fork grabs out of here. About a tablespoon. Then going to add a nice acidity. We're going to put a splash of the white wine. You don't have to use the white wine Linton supplied with this. You can just grab some other stuff out. But you want about a tablespoon, and that's just going to aid in the sweating down. Okay, the other pan is nice and hot now. So we've got our prawns, and we're just going to pop them in and just going to colour them. And these do not take long to cook at all. Make sure they're all in contact with the frying pan, otherwise they're going to cook unevenly. Let them do their thing. Now the sauce is bubbling away beautifully here. The tomatoes are nice and soft. You see the skin splitting. The chili's working its way in. And of course we can have a little taste. That's lovely. Thickening a little bit here. Probably want it a little bit runnier, so I'm just going to chuck in a little bit more wine. Not too much. we want this to coat the pasta. Okay, our prawns, let's give them a little turn. Okay, now take the sauce off the heat, and then I'm going to add our parsley, because I don't want to overcook the parsley, just want to sweat it a little bit in the sauce. We can leave that like that. Tidy up as I go along, otherwise it gets told off. Okay, it's just going pink, that's all we want. Don't really want to brown them or caramelise them. Okay, those are cooked. Off the heat. Now we're going to check our pasta. They're bubbling away since we started. Now remember, we're going to add heat to this again, so just going to test our pasta. Chuck it on the floor. Just let it cool down, otherwise you'll burn your fingers. A little bit left to go. What we can do now is we can add our prawns to our sauce. Cleaning up as we go. Stir them in. Plate up. Now another little trick. I mentioned earlier about the lemon. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of the zest on here. And just the back of one of the lemons. Going to give it a little freshness. And now let's see where we are with our pasta. That's perfect. Right, let's plate up. Okay, to plate up is very simple. I'm just going to drain the pasta. Splash of olive oil on the pasta to stop it sticking. A little stir. Into our sauce and prawns. Just give it a whiz round. I have turned the heat back on the sauce and prawns whilst I'm mixing the pasta in. A little squeeze of lemon. Now, if you cut the lemon diagonally, there's less chance of you catching the pips. I have no idea why it works, but it just does. But just in case, you can run it through your fingers. Dash of lemon. A little stir. And now we're ready to serve up. So off the heat. And take our pasta. And then you can garnish with the prawns and your lovely sauce. So there we have it, pasta linguine. I've made mine look arty-farty for this shot with a slice of the lemon and a little bit of the parsley, but as you can see there, it's a beautiful prawn linguine ready to eat. Now I'm going to go grab a fork and help myself before it goes cold. Thanks very much for tuning in, and at some point in this video, Linton will have jumped in and told you about the Chablis he's recommended.